All right, how we doing, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to today's edition of the Premarket. I'm excited to dive into another day. Woke up, got my prayer in, right? Did my confessions, whatever you call it. I feel like a lot of people have different names for them now. Manifestations, whatever name you have for them. Sharon, good morning. Congratulations, Olivia, on senior year. So excited, cannot believe that, but so excited for what's in store for her. That's my hero right there. And what else? Yeah, ready to dive into another great morning. Got up, got prayer in, got my confessions in, got my few miles in, and my protein is mental fortitude, right, to do what's necessary for you to do. And you also having the mindset to persevere in spite of adversity, right? Not everything is going to go right. Not everything is going to work out. But you say, okay, this didn't work out. You diagnose for what reason it didn't, right? And then from there, you adjust and you move forward. But you don't get caught up in that. And that's really the big part of it. Taking profit when you need to take profit. All of that is mental, right? And all of what you do in your morning goes into that. So morning routine is an absolute must because, again, you're the one who's getting in, you're the one who's getting out. So you've got to be, in peak mental condition, right? And physical condition is a part of that as well. Cheswick, good morning. So I hope everybody had a great night's sleep. I had first fantasy football draft of the year last night, so I could barely sleep, even on 2 melatonin, because I was just so hopped up on energy after that draft. I was feeling amazing. So yeah, I could have slept better, but woke up still feeling ready to attack the day. I'm excited to get back into football season for my football people. And yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful time of year. Happy to be headed to fall. Best time of the year, best fashion, right? You get to layer your outfits, really show out. So this is just feeling right. It's all feeling right. It's feeling good, and it's a great feeling to have as you go into another market day. Now, what do we do here? We're going over all the important news, notes, information, trade ideas, mindset tips, etc., to keep you consistently profitable, right? And to keep you winning more often than you lose and winning bigger than when you do lose, right? And that takes daily investment, but it's really not a lot, right? We invest a lot of our time on a phone or, doing all these other things that are really superfluous in the long run. We can find time to devote to, kind of getting better and investing in ourselves. So make sure you're dropping that one in the chat, whether you're watching live or via replay. And we're going to get into what we got going on here this morning. And our top news is getting bigger. So there's a new target date for the expansion of the European Union proposed by European Council President Charles Michel. Coming meetings by EU leaders should focus on the enlargement of the trade bloc by 2030 in order to boost influence and assertiveness and help remodel the global approach to development. Parts of the speech at the Bled Strategic Forum also focused on not importing past conflicts to block the accession process, but sticking to a merit-based process that outlines economic, judicial, and administrative reforms needed for membership. In terms of the backdrop, the EU's last major expansion occurred in the early 2000s when the trade bloc stretched to Central and Eastern Europe. But starting in the 2010s, a different wave of thinking arose. The European debt crisis, as well as the European migrant crisis, gave rise to Euroscepticism, which ultimately saw Britain vote to exit the European Union during the Brexit referendum of 2016. Struggles for the UK economy, COVID, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine have swung the pendulum back to the side of pro-Europeanism, though there are still many hurdles that need to be overcome in order to promote greater integration. In June 2022, the EU accepted Ukraine and Moldova as formal EU candidates, while the bloc has tried to push forward the accession process for several Balkan countries that have spent decades on seeking membership. Georgia has also been recognized as a potential member through membership talks with Turkey. Let me just restart that whole sentence. Georgia has also been recognized as a potential member, though membership talks with Turkey are currently frozen. In his speech, Michel called some of the countries out by name, but acknowledged that relative prosperity would not follow immediately, but rather significant funds would be needed to help poorer countries catch up. So, I mean, whenever there are tough times, people try and band together, right, in order to share resources and, lock arms in order to weather the storm. And that's what's happening now with the growth of, the European Union, the EU growing, NATO growing, even though NATO is a defensive alliance, right? The EU is really an economic alliance. In terms of quotes, Quote, to be stronger and safer, the EU needs to reinforce our bonds and become more powerful, he declared. The GDP of the future member states is about 50 to 70% of the smallest EU economy. This means they will be net recipients, while several current net recipients will become net contributors. So we need to work out how to manage this complex transition. It will be difficult and sometimes painful, but enlargement is no longer a dream. It is time to move forward. So we're seeing the continuation of a shifting global landscape, right? Where again, a lot of people are drawing lines, both in terms of like war, right? And in terms of economic alliances, right? You've got BRICS, you've got NATO, you've got the EU, right? You've got all of these different entities that are mobilizing, moving, growing, etc. And that's going to be, big as we talk about the shifting global landscape moving forward. They're not doing this for no reason, right? Economic hardship has made things tough. A lot of countries are struggling and they feel like they're stronger together. And this is across the board, right? BRICS and everything else. This is across the board where you're seeing all of these lines being drawn. Everybody's picking teams. Everybody's picking sides. So this is something that's important to be aware of when you talk about the Lego tiles, being moved around and the puzzle pieces shifting. The world is changing each and every day. And that way, when you keep tabs on it, you're not caught off guard when something crazy happens or, anything like that. So does this have anything directly related to kind of brewing, Sino-US tensions in like the West versus the East? Maybe. I think that, the invasion of Ukraine definitely, like they said, swung the pendulum back to that side of like pro-Europeanism. And people are back on board. They're like, listen, we need allies. We need to be locked in with you guys in case Russia comes for us. So I feel like this is, again, just kind of further division and delineation amongst, members of the world and nations of the world. In terms of trending news, hurricane warning. Florida is preparing for its first major storm of this year's Atlantic hurricane season. Idalia may intensify, or it might be Idalia, I don't know, into a major Category 3 hurricane before making landfall in Florida, according to the National Hurricane Center, while Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency for more than 45 counties in the state. Idalia isn't estimated to be as strong as Hurricane Ian, which last year killed at least 140 people as it swept through Florida and the Carolinas. Wow, I did not even realize that happened. It's just so much stuff that goes on over the course of the year. But backup generator player Generac still rose about 4% on Monday. So their ticker is GNRC. So during storms, right, because I'm not sure if this is the same one, but there's like a crazy storm going through Atlanta. So GNRC, right, something that is a recipient of or a beneficiary of whenever there's this, there's crazy weather going on. So they were, up yesterday. It's one of those things too, where it's like, all right, is this, a result of just the broader market being up, or is this sentiment that is causing it for them? And it could really be a mix of both, but, Generac up today, or up yesterday, right? Pushed above daily resistance that it had previously at, what is this high here? 118.06. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's a speculative play, right? It's not like there are a whole lot of people trading Generac, not the best spreads. But it's currently bull flagging on the hourly. If it breaks, that previous hourly high at, where are we at? Like 120.29. Generac could maybe get something moving. Even at 120, just flat 120.09, Generac could get moving. So I don't know exactly how those stocks behave as we get into kind of, we're going through a storm, this, that, and the third. But again, when it comes to speculative plays, right, I'm much more about taking your blue chip stocks, right? Blue chip stocks, they're household names that have a lot of liquidity and you can easily trade and they can bring you big profits. I'm much more about trading those stocks, but it doesn't mean you can't take speculative looks at different stocks, right? You still want to have fun as you're doing this. It doesn't want to be military school, right? Regimented like that. And let me check back in. I'll write on the chat. Everybody's doing well. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Tiffany. Happy to have you guys here. Hope you had a great morning. Ready to get into things today. In terms of financials news, advised to sell, scaling back ambitions to push into mass market financial planning. Goldman Sachs has reached an agreement to sell its personal financial management unit. The business oversees around $29 billion in assets and was built up from United Capital, a registered investment advisor that Goldman bought for $750 million in 2019. However, the deal may not bode well for CEO David Solomon, who is seeing another strategy unravel after attempting to push into the mass affluent sector, only to renew the bank's focus on the ultra wealthy. Earlier this year, Goldman put online lending service Green Sky up for sale, unraveling another deal of the Solomon era. So, I mean, hats off to him. David Solomon, things aren't always going to work out. But again, if you never start, you're guaranteed to fail. If you start, you can fail. But again, failure is just, you learning, okay, this didn't work. Now I can move toward this thing. So shout out to the failures. Shout out to those that do fail, right? And again, you don't ever truly fail until you quit. It's just a setback. So it's him trying different strategies, trying to see what works out. And this isn't one that worked out. But the same goes for trading, right? You'll try different things. You'll do different things. Not everything will work out. But the key is that you continue to push forward, right? Recognize that the elements are there, that you can do it because it's been done, right? And trying the next thing. Try the next thing. Make sure that might be the thing for you. But, and when I say try the next thing, I mean, like, okay, try little things incrementally that can help change what you do. I don't mean move from one thing to the next. There's so many people who are like, oh, crypto didn't work for me, so I'm moving to options. Oh, options don't work for me, so I'm moving to, I don't know, Forex, and Forex didn't work for me, so I'm moving to futures. Don't jump from thing to thing to thing because you end up mastering nothing, right? When I say move on to the next thing, I mean within that sphere, right? Within that sector, say, okay, this didn't work for me. Maybe I'm going to go cheaper contracts and get more of them and then be able to take profit strategically at certain places rather than getting more expensive option contracts, only taking profit once, right? And missing out. Talking about those things. So making adjustments, taking an L when it's necessary, and then, using that L in order to build up future successes. That's the recipe. But yeah, in terms of Goldman, we've been hearing those whispers about Goldman kind of exiting this sector of personal financial management, and they finally did it. So there you go. In terms of big banks and what I think about big banks, I still think they will serve to further only consolidate and get stronger throughout these regional banks struggling. That's something we've been talking about for the past few months, right? These regional banks are in trouble. They're going to be struggling. The big banks are going to buy them up, and they're going to get even stronger, right? And power will continue to consolidate in the hands of a few. Is it good? Probably not. Is it the world works? Yes. Does that mean we got to prepare for it and live on in spite of it? Yes, right? In terms of consumer news, shipping minimums, Amazon is increasing its free shipping minimum to $35 from $25 for non-Prime members in some markets, matching the minimum order amount required by rival Walmart to avoid shipping fees for its Walmart Plus subscription service. Quote, we continually elevate our offerings and make adjustments based on those assessments, spokesperson Christina Presentin said in a statement provided to Seeking Alpha. Amid the heightened focus on profitability, Seeking Alpha analyst Stanislas Capital called Amazon an underappreciated margin improvement story and well-positioned to benefit from previous investments and efficiency initiatives. The latest decision could also incentivize non-Prime members to sign up for the $139 per year Prime service. In terms of today's markets, we're rarely all green across the board here. Not really much in terms of the Dow and S&P. We actually might not be green anymore, but at least in terms of when this newsletter dropped, in Asia, Japan, we're up 0.1, Hong Kong, we're up 1.9, China, we're up 1.2. Looks like, all that stimulus talk and taxes, being cut and all that might be starting to work, at least short term here for China, and driving their markets up. India, we're up 0.1%. The FTSE in London up 1.6%. Paris up 0.4%. Frankfurt up 0.5%. The Dow flat, S&P flat, NASDAQ flat. Crude oil up 0.8%. Gold up 0.2%. Bitcoin up 0.2% to 25,956. Today's economic calendar, consumer confidence at 10 a.m. That's going to be important, right? So we got data at 10 a.m. Make sure you watch out for that. Typically we get that initial reaction from data, and then the opposite reaction is what ends up actually happening and coming to fruition. So you can use that in terms of day trading going into today. If we get consumer confidence news and at first we drop a bit, we'll likely end up going on to pop. If we get that news and we pop a bit, we're likely go on to drop. And again, it's not set in stone, right? Nothing is 100%. It's just all probabilities and observations. So we've observed over the past few times that this, event has occurred, that this is something that can happen. And it's happened more than what a negligible event would be factored in as, right? It's not just like a one time, it's happened multiple times, enough to take notice. So Consumer confidence at 10 a.m. is the big thing here today in terms of economic data dropping. Now, what else is happening? Rally on VinFast, ticker VFS, now world's third most valuable automaker. Wow, that's crazy. I've never heard of them. I have no idea who the heck that is. Tech giants set to meet with Senator Schumer on AI next month. Kimco, ticker Kim, to acquire RPT Realty, ticker RPT, in $2 billion all-stock deal. Hawaiian Electric, ticker HE, power lines were out before deadly Maui fire. Then 3M, ticker MMM, board approves $6 billion settlement for combat earplugs. So we talked about that yesterday, and I guess it's true. The earplugs didn't protect people's ears, and now they're paying up. Expanding portfolio, Danaher, ticker DHR, pays $5.7 billion to buy Abcam, ticker ABCM. And then assembly lines at Toyota's plants in Japan are shut down. So Toyota's ticker is TM. So that might cause, some issues with Toyota there. On the move, Carvana pops following CEO share purchase, and then largest fine ever leveled on airline for breaking tarmac delay rules. Wow. Then IPO roundup, ARM, ticker ARM, Instacart, ticker CART, and Klaviyo, ticker KVYO, are all looking to IPO. If you're, an entrepreneur, you might have heard of Klaviyo. I've used them. I believe that I used to use them in some capacity in the past, not anymore. But yeah, Klaviyo going public. So we'll see IPOs. You guys know how I feel about them. You can always get them at a cheaper price. So I'm not really super concerned with IPOs at all. In terms of kind of where we're looking at broader market with SPY, we're pushing back up to that 444, 445 area. We chopped painfully yesterday, right? Painstaking chop is what we got yesterday. But we're really looking at that 444 to 445 area. That is where we have daily downtrend resistance. That is also an important daily support turn resistance, and just a very important daily level across the board. If you look to your left, right, we talk about when looking at charts, looking to your left, we struggled with this 445-ish, 444 area in the past. And same thing when we came to it, a number of sessions ago, we held it as support for a long time, then finally lost it. And yet last week it served as strong resistance, as we put in a huge daily bearish engulfing off of that 444, 445 area. So as we creep back up to it, that's what I'm looking at, watching for rejection, kind of taking note of how we move and being patient, right? PAYTIENT, but looking for a rejection, that 444 to 445 area on SPY to get back in puts, make money off the downside once more. And then, of course, if we get above that, right, then we shift the game plan. You got to be prepared for both. You react markets. You don't predict markets. React to them. Don't predict them. So that's what we're looking to do, right? It all depends on how we interact at that 444, 445 level. That will tell us our future, right? Tell us our fate. But beyond that, guys, that is pretty much it for today, August 29th, 2023. I appreciate all you guys for tapping in, investing in yourselves, right? Make sure you're checking all the reels, everything we got going on over on Instagram, that free education. If you enjoy that, show some love, leave a comment, throw some fire emojis, help other people discover information that can help change their lives as well. If you got any friends that could be investing, make sure you send them to adamhollandeducates.com so they can get locked in with us, because friends don't let friends stay broke. Other than that, guys, let's have another great day. Let's lock in. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one, everybody.